Hello, in this video I'll show you the location and how to remove and replace the spark plugs on Dacia Duster 1.6 petrol engine. This car also has LPG, so there is a little bit more to remove in order to get to the spark plugs. The procedure is similar for other Dacias or Renaults with 1.6 engine. We can see the spark plugs are right there. One of them is there, one of them is there, and there's two underneath the intake manifold. So in order to get to them, we need to remove the intake manifold. We start by removing the electrical connectors and also disconnecting all the hoses that are connected to the intake manifold. If the video is useful, please like and comment on the video and subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this. This hose on the rear is a bit tough to take out, so you need to push the clip in and it will release. Here I'll show you now exactly how it's done. This clip there, you need to push it either with your finger or a screwdriver. You push it in and then you pull it out. Next we're going to remove this air intake hose. Next we need to separate the LPG injectors from the intake manifold. There is 3 bolts holding this metal plate. Next we're going to remove those 2 bolts right there in order to be able to move the LPG injectors. that metal plate that's holding the LPG injectors to the intake manifold, so we need to remove it, but in order to remove it we need to disconnect one of the LPG hoses that goes to the from the injector to the intake manifold, so that we can move the injectors. They can get a lot looser, and then we can take out the plate. And now we can take out the metal plates. Next I'll show you the bolts that hold the intake manifold to the engine. We need to remove them. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down there. There are 5 here on the front of the engine. And there's 2 bolts on top of the engine. One of them is right there, and the other one is on the other side. So now we're going to remove all the bolts. There's 2 hoses left here that go into the throttle body. They're coolant hoses, so before removing them, make sure you might want to just pinch the hoses so that no water comes out. I'm pinching them with those locking pliers, so one of them and then the second one. And now that I've disconnected everything from the intake manifold, I can take it out. I'm only going to put the intake manifold to the side. I'm not going to remove the LPG hoses because I'm going to be changing only the spark plugs. and coils, but if you want to remove the intake manifold, you should remove those LPG hoses, and then you can take out the intake manifold. So now we have access to the ignition coils and the spark plugs. That's the ignition coils right there. We need to remove the bolt holding each ignition coil and then remove the electrical connector. And that's the ignition coil out. To remove the spark plugs, you need a long socket 14mm. I'm using a special socket for spark plugs, but you can do it with a normal 14mm socket. This socket has magnet on it, so it takes out the spark plug. And that's the first spark plug out. Now we are going to remove the second coil, the second spark plug, and replace them. And then the third one as well. The fourth spark plug, we're going to remove it and replace it when we put back the intake manifold. So here we're only going to remove the 3 spark plugs. Now that we've removed the 3 spark plugs, we're going to tighten them to specs. I'll show you what the specs for the spark plugs are. Its spark plugs is 24 Newton meters. So we're going to tighten them to specs. And next we're going to put the coils back on. Now that everything is put back in place, we can put back the intake manifold and assemble everything in the reverse order. After we put the intake manifold in its place, and then we can change the fourth ignition coil and spark plug. Here we can see we have access to the fourth ignition coil, so we remove the bolt and the electrical connector and we take out the coil. Next we're going to remove the spark plug and replace it with a new one, then put the coil back on. After we put on the spark plug, we tighten it to 24 Newton meters, then put the ignition coil back on, then assemble everything else in the reverse order. Hopefully the video was helpful. Thank you for watching.